The chronograph, in my opinion, is the hardest slot in the collection to fill. There are a lot of affordable chronographs out there, but most of them suck. But it is indeed possible to find a fantastic chronograph watch under $500. It is hard, but it can be done. So to save you the effort of having to find them for yourself, I've compiled this list of 10 incredible chronograph watches under $500. Before we get into the top 10, I would get destroyed in the comment section if I didn't at least mention the Seagull 1963. I'm sure you've already been recommended this watch 1,000 times, so I'll spare you the details. Do bear in mind that the super cheap 1963s that you can find on AliExpress are not official Seagull models, rather just clones or copies of the original. They still do feature the real ST19 mechanical movement, but they aren't official Seagull watches. But for the $150-ish that you can find them for, the movement and sapphire crystal is well worth the price. They are a great place to start your chronograph journey. I'll leave a link for the best price one that I can find in the description. So let's kick off this top 10 with a chronograph that you probably haven't been recommended before. Most enthusiasts will look towards the Seiko Speed Timer as the best chronograph to buy from the Seiko catalogue, and that is a great looking chronograph, but I don't think it's offering as much value as some other Seiko options. My pick would actually be the beautiful Seiko SSC769. Admittedly, this watch is a bit strange looking with its style design, but a design that I think looks super cool, and it's certainly unique. Where the Speed Timer is very much a Daytona homage, this Seiko chronograph is telling its own story. Now you might think that because this watch is half the price of the Speed Timer, you'd be getting half the watch, but that couldn't be further from the truth. At least not when it comes to the spec sheet on offer. This Seiko Sportiva comes with a solar movement like the Speed Timer. It also comes with 100 meters of water resistance like the Speed Timer. And guess what? A sapphire crystal like the Speed Timer. So it does beg the question, is the Speed Timer really worth double the price when other watches pretty much have the same spec sheet from the Seiko catalogue? Especially when you factor in this beautiful honeycomb silver dial. You can find this watch for as little as $225. And for that design, spec sheet and Seiko name on the dial, this is one serious bargain. I'll definitely leave a link for this one in the description. Another watch that just couldn't not feature on this list is the Bulova Lunar Pilot. Omega would have you believe that the only moon watch is the Speedmaster, but the Bulova Lunar Pilot was there too, just a lot less rammed down your throat. I would say smaller wrists need not apply to this suggestion, because the 45mm case on the Lunar Pilot will wear like a pizza box on a small wrist like mine. The newer 43.5mm versions are slightly more tolerable, but they aren't going to melt into the wrist like some of the other chronographs on today's video. If I personally had to pick one of the Lunar Pilots, the blue and white smaller version is absolutely the one for me. Some will question its inclusion because it's often a watch that costs more than $500, but do a bit of shopping around, or dare I say just be patient and wait for a good price, and you definitely will be able to get one for under $500. This is the best pick for the collector who loves a bit of history, one who maybe enjoys a good space movie, because the wearing experience isn't going to exactly fill you with joy, so you'll have to find it solely from the design and the lineage of the model. Now this next one, I do have to confess, is a watch from my personal collection, so obviously I am going to be a little bit biased when it comes to this pick, but I genuinely believe this is one of the best looking chronographs that you'll find under $1,000. This watch by Roue is all about the design. Everything has been well thought out, each colour carefully selected. Where the design seems to be an afterthought for a lot of affordable watches, on this watch it's the focal point. The dial features 3 different levels, all within a few millimeters. The outer dial features 2 different timing scales, a tachometer and a pulsometer, using the most useful sections of each. But this watch also features some of the best case finishing I've seen on a watch at this price point. It's super sharp, clean, and looks great with the design. The glass covering the dial is also a thing of beauty. The several layers of anti-reflective treatment gives the crystal plenty of blue hue. Now this is only a K1 mineral crystal, but the sapphire coating on the outside should definitely help with longevity. I don't think there's another $300 watch that comes close to looking as good as this Roue watch. If you want a watch that's highly regarded by watch collectors and enthusiasts within the community, then Baltic is the obvious place to visit. One of my favourites from the Baltic catalogue perfectly fits this video. The Baltic Bicompax is a mechanical chronograph that is packed with vintage design cues. Admittedly, this watch does come in slightly over the $500 budget, but it's absolutely good enough to demand that extra $75 in my opinion. I got hands-on with these models recently, and I was super super impressed with the attention to detail. Powering these beauties is the Seagull ST19 mechanical chronograph movement. Yes, it's the exact same movement that you can find inside of the Seagull 1963. Basically, this Baltic model takes that great movement, packs it inside of a well-finished case with a beautiful design and a cool brand name on the dial. And there's also a lot of choice too when it comes to the aesthetic. Baltic has 2 different versions of this watch with a variety of colours available on their website, so you will be able to find one that fits your collection the best. There are now a lot of micro brands using this ST19 movement. I do think though that this Baltic is one of the best. Now, I was apprehensive about including this next chronograph on the list because it is a watch that is pretty hard to find. This watch is a limited edition piece and is currently sold out on the official website, so you'll either have to visit a local AD or shop the secondary market if you want this watch for your collection. This is the Nevada Grenchen Chrono King, and the main reason I've included this watch on this list is because I think it's one of the best looking chronographs on the market. I managed to pick up the orange Paul Newman version last weekend when I visited France for retail price. An authorized dealer had one in stock, so I decided to try one out. I can confirm that this watch is absolutely gorgeous. The colours of the dial just effortlessly work together. The orange minute track, golden subdials, and yellow hands and markers offer a playful yet serious aesthetic. I do apologise though for featuring a watch that you can't just go out and buy. It will take a bit of work to find this watch, but if you do, you'll have one epic affordable chronograph. Okay, if that last one caused you a little bit too much pain because you couldn't just go out and buy it, then don't worry, you can click buy on this next one right now. If you want an affordable racing chronograph that is jam-packed with history, then I can't think of a better one than this. I've been singing the praises of the Yama Rallygraph for a very long time now. If you didn't already know, I used to own this watch. Love this watch, in fact. I sold it and I've been regretting it since. The Yama Rallygraph was worn on the wrist by motor racing icon Mario Andretti. Mario is very much a watch guy, and he often wore watches whilst racing. The Yama was a watch that he indeed used to wear whilst on the track. He claimed victories with the rally on wrist. And if you don't think that's one of the coolest things ever, then me and you can't be friends. This modern reissue of the original Yama Rally is true to original with the design, yet it has a modern Seiko Mako quartz movement taking care of the timekeeping. You aren't getting a ridiculous spec sheet with this watch. I know for a fact that the mineral glass will make some people feel a little bit queasy, but if you want a slice of history on wrist, then the Yama Rallygraph is an exceptionally cool watch to go about achieving that. Now, if you simply want the chronograph that is offering the best value for money, then this pick is the one for you. This watch is offering a full titanium construction, a Seiko Mako quartz movement, sapphire glass, and 200 meters of water resistance for just $305. At this sort of price, you'd expect this to be an AliExpress homage brand. But it's not. Boulder is very much a brand with a great reputation creating original design pieces. And this, the Field Medic range, is some of their best work. This watch is a hybrid of a few different styles. It has a sporty case typical of an integrated bracelet watch. It has the dial design of like a racing chronograph. Yet the name and specifications make this watch fit for the field. I think that Boulder have combined all of these different elements together very well, delivering something original that isn't available anywhere else. My pick would be the Field Medic 2. This specific version comes with a fully loomed dial, making this Field Medic model even more of a tool watch. And if you have a smaller wrist, then this one's for you. The 38 by 44mm case will keep things looking tidy. If you want a watch that massively flies under the radar, one that you won't see on many other people's wrists, then check out this beauty by micro brand Straton. This brand's whole ethos is racing inspired. Each watch is either inspired by a racing watch of the past or inspired by a car itself. This particular model is a combination of many different Straton design cues. It has Tag Heuer Monaco vibes with the squared case, with the hands, indexes and minute track delivering serious neo-vintage vibes. The dial has a wooden-like texture, similar to what you'd see on the dashboard of like a vintage car. The subdials are designed to feel like speedometers. In fact, the whole watch is made to feel like a racing instrument. Even the shape of the case somewhat looks like a helmet. But all of this great design work is also backed up by a good spec sheet. Sapphire glass, 100 meters of water resistance, and a Seiko Mako quartz movement. You also have endless choice when it comes to colour, with 7 completely different versions to choose from with 2 different case sizes. So if a squared shaped chronograph is what you want, $499 for this micro brand beauty is an absolute steal. Now this next suggestion is the only pick on today's video where you aren't just getting one watch. Instead, I'm going to be suggesting a whole brand for you to check out. That's because these guys make so many good affordable chronographs, it's seriously impossible to choose just one. The decision here really comes down to the style. Some of Dan Henry's lineup is dressy, some of it is sporty, and some of it is military inspired. So the question is, what's your collection missing? Which style of watch do you like the most? Because you absolutely will be able to fill that gap in your collection with a Dan Henry watch. For example, in my collection currently I don't have a pilot's watch, so the 1945 World War II chronograph would be perfect for my collection. But I could also do with a dress watch, so the 1937 dress chronograph wouldn't be a bad shout either. All of these chronographs are inspired by vintage models, with most of them combining elements from various vintage watches. The best part about all of these watches though is definitely the price. Most of the Dan Henry catalogue comes in under $300, with some costing as little as $260, making these some of the most affordable, good micro brand chronographs on the market. I think that this next one is the ultimate combination of all the important factors. It's a watch by a big Japanese brand, it has fantastic specs, it's super affordable, and it has a near perfect design. This is a watch that I haven't seen covered much here on YouTube, but it's a watch that I absolutely believe should be inside more enthusiast collections. We all love Orient for their affordable dive watches, but you barely see their chronographs get much love. This is the Orient Mako chronograph, and I think it's one of the best value watches under $500, period. It basically takes the look and spec sheet of the Seiko speed timer to a whole other level. It's packed with a solar quartz movement, it features a sapphire crystal covering the dial, but the standout feature on this chronograph is the 200 meter water resistance rating. Yes, absolutely overkill for a sports chronograph, but isn't that just what this obsession is all about? This Mako ditches the somewhat useless tachometer scale for a dive time bezel, a bezel that is much more useful for everyday life. The classic Panda is Daytona-esque, without being a boring copycat like some accuse the speed timer of being. And with a bit of shopping around, you will be able to find this watch for under $300. But if you've watched this whole video and you still haven't found your next watch, then you need to go and watch my 10 cheap watches that look expensive video. It's a good video, great watches, go check it out, I'll see you over there. Bye for now, guys.